Well, the first step and the most important one is to realize that you don't really understand people, that you're misreading them. And the thing that you tend to do is you tend to project your own emotions onto them. You tend to see them through the lens of your own desires. Whether you like them or whether you don't like them. And things that happened in the past, your parents, your past relationships, all of the troubles that you've had in life. And so when you're looking at this person that you're dealing with in your work, in your relationships, even your children, you're projecting onto them these images that are inside your own head that have nothing to do with the reality. So the first step is to tell yourself, I don't really understand this person that I'm dealing with. They are a
Mm.
mystery to them, to me. So you want to wipe the slate clean and you want to try and observe them, but you have to be able to calm all of your emotional responses down. Even your desires to like a person, you have to stop that and you have to try and find a neutral position where you're just observing them for who they are. They have their own life, their own interior, their own dreams, their own problems, their own faults, and you want to be able to see them and you want to have access to them. The second thing you must understand is that you tend to judge people based on their appearances, how they look to you, what they say. You tend to focus so much on their words, right? But we all know that words can be very slippery. People can say whatever they want to say. They can say, I love your screenplay. I think your ideas are brilliant, but they don't mean it at all. Anybody can say what they want. And so you tend to value the appearances. You tend to value what you see and how people look and how they appear. And this can be very tricky and very deceptive. So the most important thing that you can do is to realize that the appearance, the surface, the faces that you see are not the reality,
Mm.
are hiding something. And so your task as a social being, as a social animal trying to improve your level of skill, is to see past those appearances, see past those masks that people wear. And one of the things you have to realize is that people have a character. They have something deep inside that motivates them, that makes them do the things that they do. And this character is in things that they cannot even control. It has to do with genetics, it has to do with their early childhood, it has to do with things that are not visible to you, right? So you want to
Mhm.
judge them. And so one thing that happens is when people are in stressful situations, for instance, that mask tends to come off and you see some of the true person behind that. How they handle stress reveals something about what's really going on underneath that mask. Another thing you must realize is that when people have a very powerful appearance, a very strong thing going on, let's say they're extremely confident, they're very masculine, they're very aggressive, etc., they're often hiding the exact opposite. They've developed from childhood the desire to hide the fact that they're actually very shy, they're very timid, they're very insecure. And so they put on this front of being super confident. And actually, the truth is the opposite. So you want to be able to see these very overt traits that people have and realize that that is a mask. Other
Mm.
things that happen are when people are given power, how do they handle that power? Suddenly, they become very mean spirited, very cruel to other people. That's revealing who they are behind the mask. As they're rising up in the company or wherever, they tend to be the courtier, they would be smiling and be friendly. And then as soon as they reach a position of power, that mask comes off and they reveal that they're actually somebody very different. The other thing you want to see, which will reveal about people who they are truly, is criticizing them. How do they take criticism? A
Mm.
lot of people can't take criticism on any level. And you certainly don't want to ever hire people or be in a relationship with people who cannot take any kind of criticism. That reveals deep, deep levels of insecurity and anxiety. And so, but they're hiding it in some way. And so that mask comes off when you criticize them and they take everything so personally. I know when I was working, when I hire assistants, I often give them a test. and I try and criticize their work on some level and say, I don't do it meanly, I don't do it harshly, I do it gently, but I say, this is something that you're doing that's wrong. And how they respond to that reveals to me who they really are. They're trying to pretend there's something. They're trying to pretend that they're very efficient, that they love me, etc. But when I criticize them, that mask tends to come off. So these are some of the ways you can probe and test who people really are.